Hello and welcome to today's call. This is Jesse Corn and Charlotte Jacobs, but she's having trouble with volume. Oh, you're unmuted. Let me see if I can unmute you. There we go.
Okay, hello.
Let's start all over. Hello, this is Jesse Corn and
Charlotte Jacobs. So happy to be with you all here.
Coming to you live from our home, which is where we all are. All right, so we wanted to have this special Client Traction Tuesday call that we renamed to something like How to Thrive in These Unique Times. And the reason why is because we are in a very different time right now. And we don't know how long this is going to last. And it may bring up uncertainty and anxiety. And if you're, on Facebook a lot, it can bring up fear. I was at the grocery store a couple of days ago, and I walked in, and this woman had a panic attack right before my eyes, and ended up collapsing into sobs in the arms of the woman in front of her. And so, I just feel like there's this widespread fear and panic, which can be unsettling, can be nerve-wracking, can be any variety of things, let alone your own, concerns about your own health, as well as concerns around, clients and how to bring in clients and how to keep clients in this current situation. And so if you're feeling freaked out at all, you're human, and, and it's normal, and we appreciate you and we love you. And Charlotte and I have both had some anxiety come up, and at the same time, I feel like we've been using the tools that we've been practicing and teaching for many, many years to keep in a relatively, mostly positive place, between each other, as well as, supporting our boys, and so that we can be of service and a resource to this community. And so, we're so grateful for all of the inner work that we've done, and the inner work that we know that you have done to allow you to, stay relatively sane in this, somewhat crazy time. And so we wanted to take this call to support you in any way that we could. We met with our team for about 2.5 hours yesterday. Some of you saw the screenshot of our amazing team. And we started with a check-in about how are you guys doing, and then transitioned to how can we support, our community the best way. And it was pretty amazing how resourceful our team was. Most of the conversation, like 98% of it, was about how to support you guys the best way that we can. And so we're just really blessed to have an amazing team supporting us and supporting you all to do your great work. So as we were talking, we thought that there might be 3 areas that we could support you the most, and that's what we want to focus the most on during this call. One is around emotions, one is around mindset, and one is around, strategies to pivot during this unique time. One of the things that I believe is that, this time, has the potential to allow you to grow, not just yourself as a leader, although definitely that, but also your income, and your ability to serve, and your ability to trust yourself, to be able to move through any situation. And it also has the possibility of, if not done well, I think there's the possibility of tanking harder than ever. And so our goal over the next 3 to 6 to 9 months, or as long as you'll have us, is, or year or lifetime, for those of you in lifetime, is to support you to thrive during these times. And so that's the purpose of this call, to kind of launch a new level of that, as well as, you know, our intention for you. So, Charlotte, anything you want to add?
Sure. I want to say that, you know, you're in all different places. That some of you, what I find is that we all as humans, based on who we are, we operate differently in times of disturbance and disruption. And for some of us, our emotions are so strong we can't take any action until we get those resolved, right? And maybe, you know, if that's you, like, I'm just scared, overwhelmed, feeling a lot of fear. I can't take action until I move through this. For others of you, you need a plan. Like, you need to know you have a plan. If you know you have a plan, then you're like, okay, now I'm fine. So we want to really be able to provide both of those things. Now, we're not going to be able to do all of that on this call, but we want to give you some context and some ideas and some things that you can start to think about right now, you know, because we are revamping Client Attraction Mastery Acceleration Online. We hope you can all make it with us. I think that right now, when we're all like isolated and quarantined, and, you know, depending on what your situation is, how many people live with you, for those of us who are parents, it's like, maybe we feel a little inundated with affection, right? But for those of us that, you know, if you live alone, or if you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of people around you, I think you can really crave this time to be together and to really use it. So we're going to make sure that you get your oxytocin hits of being together as well, you know, because I know that that's needed right now. And really, we're looking to, like, how can Thrive be a lifeline for you right now? How can Thrive be like your rock, like that you know you can come here, you can get your needs met, that you can get the emotional support that you need, you can get the mindset shifts that you need, and that you can be working on a practical and a creative plan to pivot, you know, because things are not the same as they were even a week ago. And so some of the things that you were doing a week ago that might have been working to get clients might not be working now, right? Most likely. So we need to make some pivots in how you're out there. So this is really a lot about creativity, and it's so much about stepping into your leadership. That there's such an opportunity right now to step into your leadership. We truly believe that the work you do in the world is so essential, now more than ever. Now more than ever. And you could use this, like, you could get caught up in all of the fear and crisis, and you can collapse, or, and there really is a conscious choice here, you can choose to move forward and to be a leader and to lead your people and to be a leader in this world. Now, I realize that it may not feel like a choice if you're in collapse, and that's why we know that you also need emotional support. So we're going to talk about all those things today.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on that, you know, as much inner work as Charlotte and I have done, as much, you know, as many workshops and meditations and yoga retreats and, you know, just hundreds of things and coaches and all kinds of stuff over the years, you know, we still found ourselves looking on Facebook or looking online for positive perspectives, for people who could provide some sense of soothing and certainty, who are facing reality, but coming out the other side with, hey, I'm looking at reality too, and we're going to be okay. And I feel like that's like medicine for the soul right now. So if you can do that for your people, you know, first do it for yourself, because you can't do it for yourself when you're not doing, or you can't do it for other people when you're not doing it for yourself. That's why I want to come together here. But, you know, this is when, Charlotte, you say that, you know, now more than ever, I think people are hungering for leaders right now, people who they can calibrate to your certainty, to your faith, to your love, to your wisdom, to your ability to face reality and say, you know what, we're going to be okay. And so I would just encourage you to remember that there are people like you, like us, who are looking for certainty right now. And that's, I think, our privilege, and in some ways, you know, as leaders, our responsibility to our people. And, you know, luckily, the world has tools like Facebook Lives and, you know, email and Facebook messaging and Zoom to be able to instantly give you a platform in which to share your consciousness. So that's some context. Would love to hear from you all. I'm seeing some in the chat, and so Carrie, it sounds like it sounds like you're waiting for test results, and so if we could just organize one whoosh for you, Carrie, for just the highest good and healing and grace, no matter what the test results say. So if we could do that, and ready, and awesome. Thank you, Carrie. And if anyone else is afraid of being sick or afraid, around any of this stuff, let's just do three healing whooshes for everyone on this call, everyone in this community who maybe couldn't make this call. And let's do that now. You ready? 1, 2, 3. And another one. And another one. All right. Beautiful. Okay. And that's all we got. No, just kidding. All right. So Sheila.
Hi, I wanted to make a comment because I know there's a really popular thing that's going around that says to take a really deep breath in the morning, and if you cough, then that's kind of gives you an indication. And so especially if that's where, Carrie, the fear started from, is because you took this deep breath in the morning and then, the reality is another doctor that I highly respect said, because when you sleep, you have really shallow breathing. The initial deep breath in the morning is kind of clearing out things. So that's not an indication of being sick. It's just an indication that you're waking up in the morning. And so again, not to panic, but to just, get into a normal rhythmic breathing, because you know how important breath is to calming the nervous system. And so if that particular morning test has been freaking people out, know that there's logical reasons to that.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila. Let's give Sheila a whoosh and and I think just to kind of piggyback off that, for me, and I think Sheila, our philosophy right now is assume that on some level we've been exposed to it. Whether psychically or energetically or physically, and just stay in our house. Generally, at this point in Santa Cruz County, we have no choice, but and give ourselves as much self-love and self-nourishment, while also taking care of our kids and taking care of our people. We're starting an organic garden, vegetable garden that we've always wanted to do. So, we have an assistant who's just has a passion for it. And so, it's like, what kind of nourishing things can you do while you're, secluding yourself? And let's turn that into an inquiry. So if you wouldn't mind writing in the chat, what is the most self-nourishing thing that you've been doing over this last week? And this might generate some ideas.
There's a lot going on in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 19 new messages. Okay. So everything from more sleep, more rest, family hikes, long exhales, yoga, heart connection, yin yoga, cooking and exercising, journaling, hiking. So whatever you can do, that's actually one of the best things that you can do, because then you can go do a bunch of that stuff and jump on a Facebook Live, get on Zoom, post on Facebook. It's like do something for yourself and then share that consciousness. It may seem like it doesn't matter, but it really, really, really does.
And Megan is working on her book, which she just got the publication deal for yesterday.
All right. Nice job,
Congratulations.
Megan. Woo!
Yeah, making
That's awesome.
soup. I love it. I
Making
love
soup.
all of this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so much good stuff. This is the community that knows how to take care of itself. That is
Yes.
for sure.
Self-care points.
Yes.
If nothing else, for those of you playing the Client Attraction Mastery game, hopefully, I want to see the self-care points going off the charts, maxing that out every day, at least 3 hours of nourishing self-care.
Yeah.
So cool.
And one of the biggest things I want to encourage y'all to do to take this time is, yes, all the slowing down, it's beautiful. And this is really a great time to work on your business, to study things that you have been meaning to study. I'd rather see you in the hub looking at some home study course info and, taking a look at like, how do I create my high-end group program, looking at some old leverage videos than scrolling your feed on Facebook. Because your feed on Facebook is really full of, a lot of panic and fear. I mean, go be a creator and put stuff out there. Come to the Thrive membership, but let's make sure that you're really consciously focusing your time and not unconsciously getting lost in all the noise and craziness that's going on out there.
Yeah. I've noticed when I've gone on Facebook, I've never come off of Facebook in the last week feeling better than when I went on. In the beginning of this, I was doing a lot of tracking just to kind of figure out whether we were going to run the event or not. So I was reading lots of articles and, watching videos and just trying to learn as much as possible about the situation so that we could make the best decision possible. But once we made the decision and once we decided, okay, we're going to self-quarantine, we took our kids out of school a day earlier than the school closed, then it's like there's not really that much more going on Facebook that's helpful. And so, one of our friends, and he's also, quite a mentor for us as well, named Taki, he talked about, the way he says, be a creator, not a consumer. And so, and if you are going to consume, I say be really conscious about what you consume. Facebook is a buffet, and it's like kind of like a buffet where you go to the buffet and you don't get to really choose what you're eating before you eat it. It's like once you figure out, oh, this doesn't feel good, but you've already consumed it and it's already working its way through your system. And so, let's keep the Thrive membership. Of course, be real, of course, share authentically what's going on. But let's do our best not to sink into the fear vibration so that when people go into the Thrive membership, they know it's almost like an oasis from the chaos and the fear and the noise in the rest of your feed. And so, again, you can be authentic, you can share what's going on, you can ask for support. But in terms of, the vibration, we're going to do the best that we can to keep it as inspiring, as positive, as life affirming as possible. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So wanted to share with you that we are, currently I'm going to share my screen here. This is just a little rough sketch of something that I've been working on here, that these are the 3 ways we're looking at how can we support you. We've been working with the team and looking at what else can we put in place to support you in these areas. We're really upping the level of support that we have here for you at Thrive. We talked about emotions and just really getting you through the support. With your emotions, I saw Leanne, you said, I'm just really letting myself freak out right now so I can move on to step 2. And yes, certainly like feel those feelings, and we want to get you some emotional support. So we're going to be looking at how we can make more emotional support available to you here at Thrive. Mindset, we've got, just different ways that we can help you shift from once you kind of feel those feelings and you're ready to take a step, like how do you shift into a more positive mindset? Obviously, staying off of, not being a consumer on Facebook is one of the biggest things that's probably going to make your mindset feel healthy. And then your pivot plan. And, we want to help each of you create a pivot plan during this time. So Jess, do you want to talk about any of those 3 things before I share the pivot plan diagram?
Yeah, I'd like to share one more thing about fear, and then I think it would be good to take a few more shares. I see a couple of hands up and all that. So one of the things I've been thinking the most about with fear that's helped me stay out of panic and anxiety is this idea that when we get into anxiety, what we're often doing is we're projecting into the future some scenario, and it's usually the worst case scenario. And not only are we projecting the worst case scenario, but we're projecting ourselves into the worst case scenario with the same resources that we have right now, or even less resources than we have right now. So it's like we're going to be in this worst case scenario with less money, less support, less ideas, less abilities, less health, whatever the case may be. And that's a recipe for panic. Worst case scenario with the same or less resources than we have right now. And what I found in my life, and kind of looking back at some of the hardest times in my life, is that the worst case scenario almost never happens. And so like 98 to 99% of the time, it's not nearly as bad as my mind projected it to be. So I let myself know, I reassure myself with that. And also what I found is that the times when I've been hit the hardest in life, I've had the most resources, the most spiritual support, the most courage, the most strength, the most, people in my life showing up for me, the best mentors have shown up sometimes in my hardest times. Money has appeared out of nowhere. It's like there's this grace that happens when we truly are in the worst case scenario that may not be available to us now when we're thinking about the worst case scenario. And so that concept has given me a lot of strength and courage to move through this without fear, and instead curiosity of, I wonder how this is going to work out. I wonder how we're going to make it through this. I wonder how our world is going to make it through this. I wonder what ideas people are going to come up with. I wonder how this global community is going to work together to come up with a solution. I wonder how we can take care of our, elderly elders, our most immune compromised people. More of a curiosity as opposed to a fear, panic. And so I would invite you into that curiosity of, thinking about a time when maybe your back was against the wall and it was really hard. And at the same time, suddenly some resources emerged, whether it was mentorship, friendships, family, money, newfound health, newfound courage, newfound faith, whatever the case may be. So I just want to give you about a minute right now to start journaling about a time in your life where it really was kind of a worst case scenario, and the resources that flow to you during that time that you didn't imagine would flow to you, or couldn't have imagined if you were imagining that worst case scenario before it happened. So worst case scenario, and what beautiful, maybe divinely orchestrated resources flow to you during that time. And you can journal in the chat or you can journal privately, whatever works best for you. A few as are coming in. Jennifer said, my beautiful boyfriend just made me breakfast, so I've got to go. Speaking of resources. Love you all. Stay well and healthy. Be positive and test negative. We're going to be doing a talent show, like an all-event talent show throughout the 3 days of Client Attraction Mastery Online. And definitely we'll have Jennifer do a stand-up comedy routine. If I imagine, why wouldn't she, right? I think she already kind of mentioned that she was interested in that. So, so start thinking for those of you, and by the way, Client Attraction Mastery is welcome to any of our Thrivers who have ever done Mastery, are signed up for Mastery in the fall, you know, platinum, lifetime, it just doesn't matter. You all are welcome for Client Attraction Mastery, which is happening March 27th to 29th.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mickey says, I love this. A couple of days ago, now they're coming in fast. My college-age daughter called me sobbing from Villanova University because the university mandated that she leave campus within 24 hours. She was going to be homeless. I appealed to the parents' Facebook page. 10 to 12 parents offered to take my daughter in for the next 3 months, and I was moved to tears. She is safe.
wow,
So beautiful.
that's super beautiful.
Yeah. And Celsius says, right now, got so much from the Thrive Facebook group yesterday of trying to figure out how to transition to being online and beautiful ways to communicate with my people. That is fantastic. By the way, we have taken all of your, you know, we crowdsourced a bunch of comments about how did you make the transition from in-person to online. And we've organized those comments. We've put together, we found some like tips for using Zoom and some guides and things like that, just to make it super easy for you. We're going to tidy it up a little bit more, but we'll be giving you that as, you know, as a resource. Speaking of resources, we're going to have lots of resources for you.
Yes, we're going to have
working on them right now.
New templates for you. We're in a new time right now. So we're going to have, speaking of resources, you know, the Client Attraction Mastery Online, we're going to have some new templates for you that are just, you know, more relevant to this time than any other time. And so, you know, how do you post on Facebook differently now than you did a week or two ago? How do you, you know, the texting templates are going to be different. The private messaging templates are, you know, so everything's going to be adapted a bit to the current situation that we're finding ourselves in.
Yes. Yes.
Marianne said a plethora of resources are coming in. Clients sharing resources on financial relief for small businesses. The Thrive community is #1, though. Yes.
That's our goal.
That's our goal, is to be a huge, huge resource to you during this time.
Seriously, and for you to be a resource to each other. Like, I just think like there's nothing like this community out here there. Like, really, like you know, we have so many smart, heartfelt, deeply profound, spiritual, amazing people here with beautiful perspectives that, like, if one of you is falling apart, then I know there will be others who can help put you back together. So it's just, you know, and when I said Thrive being a lifeline, I'm not talking about me and Jesse and the team. I'm, you know, yes, we're going to do everything we can, but each other, to be there for each other. As a matter of fact, if you have other people that you've connected with in Thrive, maybe when you did your mastery game, you felt really connected to your group. You know, you can set up Zoom sessions with each other now, like set up extra time with each other.
Yeah. This would be a very different situation if Zoom was not available. I mean, it'd be a lot harder. We could do it, but you know, it's we're lucky.
Yeah.
So, any other? Anyone feel called to either to share or to get some support? Christina, I see your hand up. Yes.
Yes. So many of you know I'm a body worker, and so I see people in person.
Yes.
And I'm glad to report that I only have 2 people this week, but I have 7 for next week that I'm grappling with how to I haven't emailed my people yet. So I'm kind of managing, trying to figure out my next steps on that. And I think I even posted, Charla asked about resources, and I was like, even as a body worker, Jin Shinjutsu, there is talk of distance healing. It's just not something that muscle that I've exercised, although for 2 years, Lynn Sagan has been saying that I should stretch that muscle. And so I'm like, fuck, now I gotta stretch that muscle. And so that was something that I'm kind of like, okay, I should stretch that muscle. And so doing it by Zoom, obviously 4 years of being in Thrive, I love Zoom, I love being in this way. And so sharing some of those self-care techniques is something that I'm kind of playing with. And I actually shared it in the chat, just a simple picture of the hand. And Carrie, for example, lungs can be supported by holding that ring finger. And it can just be in our laps, just holding that. And when we're in fear, that pointer finger is a great way to work with that energy. And so that is in the and so I just wanted to share that resource, because we always have our fingers, and if we take 36 breaths with each finger, that can be a really great resource. And so I'm definitely feeling the craziness of how to pivot, and I also want to show up in service and share these simple little techniques, and also still be able to serve my clients one-on-one. And I'm concerned about finances and how that's all going to be, but I know that's kind of messy and I'm all over the place.
Yes.
But I wanted to at least share the fingers with
Yes.
everybody.
Thank you for sharing the fingers. Glad you skipped the middle one. No, just kidding. You went from the ring finger to the pointer finger. I imagine the middle finger has some mystical, energetic thing. But yeah, so I wanted to get, which you could share about if you want, but I wanted to give a few tips for body workers right now. Raise your hand if you do all of your work through body work, working on
In person.
people
Yeah.
in person, working on their body. Okay, so there's a couple of people. Okay, so, and some people don't have their camera on. Right. So there's a couple of things. Dot, I know you work through Zoom, so you're able to, you're able to kind of show people stretches and things to do on Zoom. So, if you can use Zoom as part of it. For me, if I was doing distance healing, I'd probably feel better if the person who was working on me was on Zoom. So I know they're doing something, or, so that's something that I would play with, just so that however you're doing it, and then you can check in with them. What are you feeling, etc. So there's definitely the Zoom aspect, either through guiding them through exercises through Zoom, coupled with, if you're going to do energy work, I would recommend doing it through Zoom. Another thing that you can do, and those of you who you have to work with people in person, is sell packages, like discounted package. You could call it the pandemic discounted package, or how I don't know, maybe you don't want to associate that word with the package, but some kind of package that's discounted, that you'll never give that discount again after this is over, but you're giving it now. And that could bring in, that could be some full pays that come in where people are just basically banking some sessions away for the future. So that's another possibility. I think that it's never been a better time for body workers or people who work with people in person to see yourself as more than a body worker. As Carol says at every summit, I realized I wasn't a hypnotherapist. I'm a business owner who practices something called hypnotherapy, to broaden who you think that you are as a business owner to more than just body work or more than just coaching. And that you're someone who has a niche, who's solving a problem for a specific group of people that can be solved in a variety of different ways. And so that's where the creativity can come from. That's where home study courses can come from. That's where group programs can come from. And the beautiful thing about home study courses and group programs is that can all be done online. I'm going to be really honest with you. Get Leverage has been something that we haven't put a lot of attention into over the last few years. Over the last couple of years, we've kind of had it set, and it has worked really well. And that's something that we are going to put a lot of time and energy into. Get Leverage starts in April, I believe, April 21st.
21st, yep.
Yeah, because it's never been a better time to get your stuff online and to get your home study course available and your group program available. This is the time to do it. There's, before it's like, well, it's nice to have that, but now it's sort of like urgent to have that. And so, I think this is the year, because, there's talk of more pandemics coming, and, it's like, if we can survive this and actually grow stronger through it, then we won't be afraid of other bugs or other viruses or other pandemics that could come, because we know exactly what we need to do in that environment. And so, home study courses, group programs, I think are a huge answer. Zoom, discounted packages, and being in communication with your clients and seeing what their challenges are, and if you can help them in any way with any of the challenges that they have, I think are really important tools that you can use right now to pivot. Cool. So,
can we talk a little bit about pivoting?
Yes. Let's give Christina a whoosh. You ready? And whoosh. And a whoosh for all of our amazing body workers in Thrive, as well as all over the world who are faced with the same dilemmas and may not be feeling as resourceful. So big whoosh for their resources to come. And whoosh. All right, Sharla.
Thank you. And something for you, Christina, and also all of you, for those of you who are making that big leap, that big transition, and you're like, oh, I'm trying something new. I haven't done distance energy healing before, or I haven't actually taught a lot of the stuff that I do to clients. I've just been doing it, and you want to make that switch. I would invite you to reach out to each other. I have a feeling you have lots of guinea pigs here who would be really happy, to let you practice on them, right? Like, I'm in the midst of, a big frustration, upset, and I would love for somebody here. Two things on the Facebook group. If you are somebody who is making that transition, post that you are looking for people to practice your sessions on, or practice teaching classes to. Two, if you are feeling freaked out yourself and you want some support, you can post and say, I'd love for somebody to practice on me, that's making that transition. And that way you can really support each other. And Christina says maybe a group call to practice. Absolutely. It's just really getting, so you feel comfortable, like you've got the lab here to work with each other and to make that transition with, because we really do need to shift some things. So I've created this model that just kind of brainstorming and put this model together. And when we talk about your pivot plan, we, and pardon me, I mean, even yesterday you saw I was just like in my blue light blocker glasses and my hat on, didn't do my hair. We were just working and wanted to get stuff out to you. So we didn't make this beautiful yet for you, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure. So when we look at your pivot plan, we have to look at both your service delivery plan and your client attraction plan, because these are the things that we need to pivot. So the first, we've been talking a lot about this from in-person to online pivot and some ways that you can do this. I think a few tips here are just to get really creative. Again, we've got this resource for you that we crowdsourced from the Thrive membership of how do you make that transition? What are some things that you can do? So that's one area of pivoting your service delivery plan. And not just, for those of you, like say, those of you that do live events, we can't just be taking our content and moving it from live event to Zoom. We have to also create an amazing experience so that people are there. You want to connect with each other. At Mastery Acceleration Online, for example, it's not just going to be us teaching the whole time. We're going to give you plenty of opportunities to connect with each other. We're going to make it fun. We don't expect you to just sit in front of your computer and listen for hours and hours and hours, right? That would be boring and not an exciting experience. So we're going to look at how we do that. And that's a place where you just get creative with that for all of you. And then your client communication. So the interesting thing is, I have to say this, I'll stop this for a moment. Yesterday morning, before the Bay Area was got the shelter in place notice, we were putting together a, hey, okay, if you have to see clients online, we put together a full like CDC checklist of what do you sanitize? How do you ensure your clients know that your office is safe? For those of you who are in different parts of the country or the world, you may not have a shelter in place right now, and you may want to do that. We can have that resource available to you. I think it's just a good resource anyway, especially once we get through this, people will be more aware of hygiene. And so, you know, things like you're going to sanitize the face cradle, you're going to handle the sheets with gloves, you're going to sanitize all of the sinks, you know, the counters, all of that. So we'll get that. We'll get that to you. Our team already put that together for you. Now, for those of us who are in shelter in place and you can't actually see people, pivoting the service delivery is a great way to do it. And yeah, Carrie said shelter in place still recommended for now, whether or not it's mandated. And, you know, we've been practicing that. So let's go back to this plan. So what other client communications can you do? And you may notice that as soon as we could, you know, yesterday, we let you know that we were working on a plan to pivot. We let you know, we contextualized what was going on for you and Thrive. Like for us in our business, I'm going to give you an example. When we look at, okay, there's this thing going on, it's disrupting everything. We have 3 different groups we have to communicate about how we're managing this. How are we going to step up and be leaders in this situation rather than being victims to it, right? So the first group, clients, Thrivers, like we wanted to make sure you were all taken care of first. So you're our top priority. We put together this call. We started putting together an action plan. We spent 2.5 hours with our team working on how we could support you. The next group are all the people registered for the May Summit. Now that's a ways off and, you know, anything could happen, but we're doing a call for them tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to be shifting all of our marketing. And one of the things to think about for all of you, so let's actually go to our little model here. Because the next thing we need to talk about is your client attraction plan, right? Because all of your marketing will need to shift to accommodate what's going on in the world. We have to use, like if you're trying to, and this is for some of you who've been trying to get clients and maybe even trying to use some of our templates in the last couple of days and not seeing a lot happening, or in the last even like week when people were starting to get nervous, 2 weeks, people were starting to get nervous and they haven't been working as well. It's because we have to acknowledge what's going on. We can't step over it. We can't ignore it, or our messaging is irrelevant, right? So when we look at your client attraction plan, there are 2 different areas that we need to look at shifting and pivoting. The first is your strategy shift, right? So for some of you, some of your marketing has been going to networking events, right? Actually going to in-person events to meet people, and events are canceled right now. So you have to find a different way to do it, right? Or maybe you were going to live events and you were networking with people. Maybe that is something that you are doing. You know, these are some things that you may have to shift your strategy. And obviously we have to shift to some more online things. So if you've been waiting to leverage some of your marketing and, you know, some of the strategies that you've been using, the client attraction strategies to online, now is a great time to do it. And of course, we'll be spending some time doing that. You know, we'll be spending some time in Client Attraction Master Acceleration.
Yeah, so
using templates. Go ahead, Jeff.
let me just put that into a little bit of context as well. So when Charlotte said all of your marketing needs to shift, that might sound a little scary. I think it's a little bit more. I think it's true what you said, but I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, which is, so for example, we just shot these really funny niche videos that involved our boys dressing up in Yoda costume and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker costumes, and it's really cute and funny, and we're so excited to launch it. And then this happened, and we put a lot of money into it, and a lot of time and energy and scripts and different things like that. It was 3 different videos. And so we haven't released them yet because it's just not the time to be cute and funny and Star Warsy and, and talk about niche. However, if we just switch the context around how we introduce it, then it could work a little better. So for example, if our email said, hey, in this time, it's so important that you have a niche because, now more than ever, your people need to know, like you need to know who your people are and what the exact problems are that they have, because, people are looking for results in certain areas, and having your niche can be really essential in helping you with that. Now it's sort of relevant to this time. And so any Facebook posts that you do or any text or messaging that you do with clients has to take into account the fear that people are having, and in some cases panic or anxiety that people are having, address that, and then offer your services as a solution to the very challenge or problem that they're facing in their life right now. And so that way you're not a luxury, or you're not something that people will, use, take advantage of or use after this is over. You're actually an essential part of making it through this time, is the way that I would love for your people to see you. That you're not only your content is relevant because it's helping them have less stress during this time, or if you're a relationship coach, helping them, with the love aspect that can get stressed during this time. Or if you're a money coach, you can help them through the money side. Or if you're a health coach, you can help them through the health side. Not only that, but also you're a rock of certainty and of strength and of, we're going to get through this together. That's going to be huge as well. So the content piece plus the leadership piece is what makes you a huge asset to your people during this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what you're saying, Justice, brings us to this part of our model, is that we really need to shift the messaging that's out there. So anything, you need to pivot the messaging. It needs to be relevant to where people are talking about now. If you're not talking about the pandemic and things that you're putting out there in your marketing, people are not going to listen. It's going to seem completely irrelevant. I don't know if you noticed, like I was on my Facebook feed and I was looking at some ads and I'm thinking, like, you're not stopping your ads. Like, what are you thinking? You have to adjust the ads. The only ads that I'm going to look at right now are things that are related and relevant to what's going on in our world right now. And so one of the things I want to invite you to do, you get creative, right? And to really show up in service, not just to your clients, but to show up in service to the world. Be that leader, be that message, start educating people on things they can do now. And I want to give you a little bit of a formula that you can think about, is, offer people value, like give great value, teach great stuff on Facebook, on, your posts. Give people things that they can do now. Be that leader that is the hope and the inspiration. Write things that they can do to shift what's going on in their life right now. What are they dealing with? Whether it's the emotions and the fear, whether it's the relationship challenges they might be dealing with. If somebody's like, I'll hold up, whether it's, but you've got to be solving an urgent need right now, right? This is not a time for luxury. And then encourage people, hey, if you need some support, reach out to me via private message. And then offer to get on the phone with people and talk with them. And you can do consults basically. So instead of, what I'm noticing is that if you're just trying to sell, through social media posts right now, it's probably not going to go so well, right? People are also really sensitive to feeling like there's people being businesses being opportunistic right now, and you might have that concern. So I would say optimize your posts for conversation, and get in private message to talk with people about what's going on for them, and have a short call and see if you can see what's going on with them, and if you can help them. And it's in the conversations that you can help people, to have a consultation, to invite people to work with you if it seems like a good match. And I think we're really going to need to be talking about just also the concerns that people might have. And, tomorrow is Transform Concerns calls, right? And
Yeah.
a
So
little bit about that.
yeah, exactly. So tomorrow, it was originally scheduled as a transform, I can't afford it, into a yes. We'll still address that, but we're going to also address some of the unique concerns that people are having in this time. And so I'm going to highly recommend that you get on the call at 10 o'clock, same time tomorrow on Zoom. So we'll be getting into, if someone can't afford it because suddenly their income has dried up for, they don't know how long, how do you have that conversation? And also not only what do you say, but also what's your mindset around that? So I'm not going to get into that deeply now. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I think the other thing, just piggybacking off of what Charlotte said, is that this isn't a time to turtle up 24/7. So, you can be a turtle 23/7, where you're self-secluding, but this is a great time to take 1 hour a day to be like, hey, who's struggling right now? Who on Facebook seems like they could use some support? And that's, private message 3 people, hey, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Hey, I saw your post. Sounds like you're really freaking out. Is there anything I can do to be of service? And, show up with a little bit more generosity. This is such a generous community, but just even a little bit more than you usually do. And, support as best you can for free. Be generous with advice as long as people are looking for advice. Make sure they want advice or recommendations before you offer them. But if they do want the advice, eventually that can lead to a consult. You can get on the phone with them, and eventually that could turn into clients. But this is a great time to plant a lot of seeds, to lead with generosity. This is a time when, anything that anyone was stressed about gets exacerbated when their system goes on overdrive. And so this is a great time to really be present for people and to show up, so that when their chips were down and they weren't feeling resourceful, they remember that you reached out to them. That's huge. Yeah. And it may lead to a client now, it may lead to a referral now, it may lead to a client later, it may lead to a referral later. But if you could reach out to 3 people a day, over the next week, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it'll keep you feeling better. And it will also be building momentum through this time for your business. So 3 people a day keeps the C virus away.
Woo! Speaking of, for those of you, those of you that are making any kind of transition from in-person to Zoom, or any kind of transition at all, or how you're dealing with this is a great opportunity to reach out to past clients and just to check in and say, I was thinking about you the other day. How are you doing? You don't always have to go out to future clients. That's personal outreach, the 3 people a day, reaching out to past clients is a great thing to do right now. And people will really remember that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to go into a lot more detail. Client Attraction Mastery, again, we're trying to figure out how to make this as Thrive feeling as possible. We're going to be doing, an all-event talent show, so a lot of talent things. We're also talking about during breaks, or certain times throughout the day, having yoga breaks, or like different things throughout the day, so that we can stay in our bodies as we're also with each other over the screen. But before we go, we still have a few minutes. So any last thoughts, feedback? I've seen a ton of chats. I haven't been able to catch them all.
Yeah, Meg, if you can download the chat for us so we can just get all this. Also, make sure you take the survey if you haven't already.
Yeah, we put out a survey that was in the email that went out yesterday. It basically just asks 3 questions that will help us to know a little bit more about how we can serve you during this unique time. But yeah, if you like to share, I see a few hands up, so I may take.
Also one quick thing, Penelope Bell, I didn't realize that you were here, hon, and Penelope's been really, really sick, so if we can send Penelope a healing whoosh.
Yes.
Yes. Ready?
And a whoosh for Penelope. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and whoosh for healing, for light, and for love. Okay. Call on you, Mr. Ted.
Hey, y'all. Nice to see you, and thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
I would love to hear just a few more thoughts, if you would, on pricing in this time. I recognize that what I have to offer is really helpful for people, or can be, and that people probably will want it. And so it seems like, yeah, I should just charge what I normally do, but it also feels like we're all kind of in a time of need, and so maybe that's not right, but also just giving it away. So anyway, I just would love to hear your thoughts on finding a sweet spot or a place that feels in integrity.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts are that, to hold people as resourceful, to show up with your full resourcefulness, to hold that they're fully resourceful, and rather than, kind of bowing to the circumstances, to show up as a huge resource to them. And rather than, kind of freaking out with them, it's like, help them get resourceful with their plan to be successful. So if they can't work right now, then part of the work of, even if you're a health coach, like part of your work can be to help them come up with a plan to, stabilize financially, help them brainstorm ideas of places where they can get resources and resourced during this time. And so I think, helping them, showing up with your resourcefulness, seeing them as resourceful, helping them come up with resources, I think can be more beneficial than lowering your rate to try to help them during this time. If they ask for that, you can dance with that concern. And just like any other time, you can make a decision as to how you want to handle it. But I wouldn't preemptively lower your rates unless you're a body worker and you're selling packages for the future that people can't take right away. And in that case, I think that is worth discounting so that they have a reason to buy something that they may not use for 2, 3, 4, for however many weeks or months.
Great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, Ted, good to see you. Good to see all of you guys. All right. Let's see. Do we have time for maybe one more? Okay, what time is it? Okay. Nathan.
Jesse, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So thanks for the call. Yes, like I have been teaching tennis players, and as of now, I'm not able to. And then also I'm doing the mindset coaching online, but I've had quite some players who canceled.
Yes.
So I'm thinking right now to broaden my niche a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's the way to go. I can also try and think of other ways I could be adding value, to them.
Yes. Okay. So we can let's take a minute to brainstorm about it right now. But I want to say two things actually real fast. So because I see it's the top of the hour, and I want to make sure I say these two things, and this is relevant to you too, Nathan. So this is a great time to book your session with your Thrive coach, because they can take the full 45 minutes to brainstorm different solutions. So
Sure.
definitely book sessions with your Thrive business coach. And if you're emotionally stressed right now, Nathan has made himself, or Nathan has opened up some time, and that is to say for emotional support during this time. So it's basically like rolling group coaching for 2 hours. So you can kind of show up anytime between 12 and 2 on Thursday and Friday, and this is Pacific time. So Thursday, Friday, between 12 noon and 2 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll post the link in the Thrive membership Facebook group. Actually, why don't we just use this link right here, the link that you just signed up with or got onto this call with. That will be where Nathan will be doing rolling group coaching. So, people will be coming and going at your own pleasure, and it's just a time for emotional support around some of these challenges that you may be facing. So, use our Thrive business coaches for brainstorming as well as emotional and mindset support. Ivana can do a great job with that. Jen can do a great job with that. For those of you who have Jada or Elizabeth or Katie or whoever your coach is, they can support you with this. But Nathan is available 12 to 2 on Thursday and Friday Pacific time. Back to you, Nathan. This might be a great time to create home study courses, to do Zoom calls of mindset training, with the goal that your tennis players, through some of the work that you do, are better equipped to win their matches because they haven't been able to do the physical work, but they still want to be successful at tennis. So this is like mental camp, this is like mental boot camp for the next 3 weeks. And you could even do like a Zoom mental boot camp and just really strengthen the mental side of the game. So with any problem like this, it creates opportunities to strengthen other aspects of your skill set. And so that's what I would recommend right off the top. And if you and I had more time, we could brainstorm. How's that landing for you right now?
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I thought about that as well. So I'll definitely use that. For the home study course, can I just look into the CAD leverage program? Is that all in there, or?
Yes, that will help you. Exactly. That will help you start to create your home study course, your group program, help you choose the features and all that kind of stuff. And so again, that's happening in April live. The home study course version is available for you anytime, and we're going to be relooking at everything to make it as relevant and upgraded as possible. So cool. Thanks, Nathan. Big whoosh for Nathan DeVere. You ready? And all right. I realized Charlotte had to jump off because she's being interviewed on a podcast. So that's why it's nice that there's two of us. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I just want to say that we'll sort of wrap up this call. And for those of you, I recommend if you have a couple minutes to stay on this is I don't want to say this cliche too many times, but this is a great time to this is a really good time to connect. So I'm going to encourage you to share any insights or gems or ideas. You can brainstorm ideas with another Thriver after we do our final whoosh. I just want to end by saying that as stressful as this is, as challenging as this is, I put my stake in the ground really early on when this first started happening to say that this is going to make us stronger, and this is going to make us better. This is going to make us our offerings more useful, and this is going to make us better leaders, better business owners, better parents, better partners in the case of me and Charla. And so I encourage you to put that stake in the ground that no matter what happens over the next week or 2 or 3 or 4 or months, that you are going to arise from this situation better no matter what, that you will be better for having gone through this. And I dare say better for having gone through this together as a community, because this is not the time to isolate. And, I think I've seen this community come together over the years, and rally around people who are sick or who are struggling. And this is the time to make your presence known and to light the Thrive Membership Facebook group up with a lot of posts and a lot of love and a lot of reminders that, we're all not alone, that we're in this together. And that while we are at our homes, we are not alone in our homes. And so I appreciate you more than words could say, as does Charla, as does our whole team. We're so grateful for you and for the stand that you take. You guys give us hope, in this new world that I think is being rebirthed in some ways through this challenging situation. So let's do 3 whooshes to end. The first whoosh is for the health of the Thrive community. The second whoosh is for the financial abundance of the Thrive community. And the third whoosh is for health and abundance for the entire world. Okay, so the first one is for health. You ready? And whoosh. And for wealth and abundance in the Thrive community. And and the last one is health and abundance for the entire world. And all right. Okay, appreciate you guys so much. And Meg, for those people who want to stick around and do a partner share, Meg, if you could set people up, that would be amazing.
All right, folks, give me one moment and I'll get you into breakout rooms.